Don't forget that you can enjoy the Chronicles of Narnia again on these BBC videos, out now. Now on BBC One, an appeal on behalf of St Botolph's Rehabilitation Centre in Lifeline. There'll be some useful addresses in the programme, so you might like to have a pen and paper ready.
Hello, welcome back to Lifeline, the programme that brings you the latest charity news. With me in the studio, as usual, is Lynette Lithgow.
Hello. Exactly 1 year ago on Lifeline, Richard Whitmore presented an appeal on behalf of the Camp Hill Village Trust, which provides sheltered village communities for mentally handicapped adults. Within these centres, over 485 men and women with severe mental handicaps are able to lead the kind of life which offers employment, a family atmosphere, and the opportunity to contribute to the support of the community. The Trust were desperately in need of funds to help them construct a new house at Newton D Village in Aberdeen for elderly and frail villagers. Thanks to your generosity, £41,000 was raised, and the house has been fully occupied since January 1990.
In memory of fighter pilot Sir Douglas Bader, who lost both legs in a flying accident, the Royal Air Force Benevolent Fund each year offers flying scholarships for disabled people. Each scholarship provides 40 hours flight training and meets travel and other expenses of 6 weeks at an approved flying school in eastern USA. Among last year's winners were 33-year-old Denzel Connick, who lost a leg during the Falklands conflict, and 28-year-old Jane Cross, who's been confined to a wheelchair since 1981. If you're registered disabled, aged between 17 and 40 years, you're eligible to apply for next year's flying scholarships. Application forms are available now from Wing Commander John Patterson, International Air Tattoo, Building 1108, RAF Fairford, Gloucestershire, GL7 4DL, and the closing date for applications is January the 31st, 1991.
The very cold weather last week was a stark reminder of how important it is to keep well and warm in winter. 3 national charities, Age Concern England, Help the Aged, and Neighbourhood Energy Action, recently joined the Department of Health and Social Security to launch this winter's Keep Warm, Keep Well campaign. It offers elderly people advice and practical help on everything from how to keep warm to useful tips on diet and exercise and details of cold weather payments. A special advice line has been set up. The number to ring is 0800 289 404. That's a free phone number, which means you'll not be charged for your call. The line will be open for 2 hours after this programme, and it is always manned between 9:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. on weekdays.
Finally, in our charity news spot, 2 special constables from Surrey have decided to spend Christmas under canvas in one of the remotest areas of England. Sarah Doney and John Humphreys are planning a gruelling 190-mile charity walk from St Bees Head in Cumbria to Robin Hood's Bay in North Yorkshire. Sarah and John are currently seeking donations of both equipment and cash so that all the money they raise through sponsorship can go to the Imperial Cancer Research Fund. If you'd like more information or if you're able to help in any way, please call Susan Kiddy at the Imperial Cancer Research Fund on 071 269 3612. This month's Lifeline appeal is made by Richard Briers on behalf of St Botolph's Centre in London's East End.
At the end of a long day, we all look forward to getting home. But thousands upon thousands of people today don't have a home to go to. In London alone, there may be as many as 80,000 people without a home of their own. Tucked away in the city of London is a small centre trying to help homeless people. Its name is St Botolph's. At 6 o'clock, when the evening centre opens, 2 or 3 members of staff, together with about a dozen volunteers, face a queue of 200 to 300 people. Changes in welfare benefits means some people can no longer afford their homes. The closure of hostels and some large psychiatric hospitals, combined with a lack of affordable accommodation, is leaving many people with no option but to sleep rough. But hundreds of the people coming here haven't just lost their homes. They've also been wounded physically, sometimes emotionally, and they need help.
The evening centre is open 5 nights a week from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. People come here for all sorts of reasons, because they're lonely, because they're isolated, because they want to see the doctor, because they want some soup, something to eat, a place where they can feel cared for. People often say, why don't the homeless clean up, wash up, etc. Well, by all means, but I wouldn't want to use the services that we've got with 200 people trying to get into them at the same time. The counselling rooms aren't adequate, they're very small. There's not enough individual space where people can feel relaxed and talk about their problems.
The vast majority of the people coming here either sleep rough or live in temporary accommodation. This is often run down, unhygienic, and lacking in all but the most basic facilities. Resettlement is therefore a top priority.
The lodge project was set up 10 years ago as the accommodation arm of St Botolph's, and we now have 3 hostels in Hackney for 33 people, and they're each quite different. They are short stay, 1 year to 2 years, and then the resettlement workers will move them on from the hostels.
Littlewick Lodge is home to 5 men in one flat and 3 women in another.
Well, since I left home, Littlewick's been the best hostel I've been in. It's given me a lot of confidence again that I lost while I was out on the street. By living at Littlewick, it's given me an address. You can't get a job without an address, and you can't get an address without a job. So it's a bit of a dead-end situation. I'm scared of going back on the streets again. It's a very depressing place to be, especially when you get hassled by people coming out of the pubs and clubs weekends, asking you if you want to go back home with them. Like, it's tempting sometimes if it's cold and that, but for your own safety's sake, you have to stay where you are.
With the ever-increasing number of people coming to us, we obviously need more staff and more equipment and more hostels. But we've made a deficit in the last 2 years, which is tragic, really, because, of course, now we're thinking of cutting back on staff and the provisions of the centre.
It's in society's interest to care for homeless people. If you don't, people become terrorised of the homeless. I think parts of London is a good example of that, where people are frightened to walk down certain streets because homeless people are begging, asking them for money. So I think if you care for all of the person and not just give them 50 pence, then you may well be able to resolve the issues around homelessness. When people used to be shocked by homelessness, things used to happen, positive things used to get done, but it seems like that's long gone.
The work going on in this crypt is to make room for more of the marvellous work that they're doing here. It's the very last improvement that the centre is going to be able to make, and it's desperately needed. But they still don't have the money to pay for this work or the modernisation of the medical facilities. This year, the centre will have 35,000 attendances, and we expect that number to be higher next year. But we can't do this work without your assistance. So do please dig deep into your pockets and give whatever you can. We can't move without your help. Thanks so much.
Well, as Richard said, they do marvellous work, but money is desperately needed.
Particularly at this time of year. If you'd like to give, you can phone in now using any major credit card. The number to ring is 081 992 5522. That's 081 992 5522. We'll be keeping the lines open for the next 2.5 hours.
You may like to make a tax-free donation through payroll giving if your employer operates the scheme, or you can send a donation by post. It's cheques and postal orders only, please, to Richard Briers, St Botolph's Centre, Aldgate, London, EC3N 1AB. That's Richard Briers, St Botolph's Centre, Aldgate, London, EC3 1AB. The address is also in Radio Times and on page 618 of CFAX.